Hello, my name is Kayla White, and I'm in Miss Leanne Smith's SEC 352 Planning for Student Diversity course for the fall semester. For this assignment, I will be carefully analyzing the textbook Intro to Business by Dlabay, Burrow, and Egland. This textbook is designed to meet the needs of high school students who will be taking an introductory business course such as business principles. This book covers various topics that directly introduce students to the business world. It shares success stories, helpful tips, and basic business skills. The main goal of this assignment is to determine if this textbook is appropriate for classroom use. To decide if this text should be used, I will be gathering and analyzing data from both Unit 2, which is Business Organization and Management, and Unit 3, which is Business Operations and Technology. Chapters 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 fall under Unit 2, while Chapter 10 falls under Unit 3. To analyze this textbook, I will access the state standards and specifically the KOSA standards. According to the Kentucky Department of Education, the KOSA is one of two measures that can be given to students to meet the career-ready technical portion of college and career readiness. KOSA tests are aligned to career and technical education career pathways, which includes business principles. The first standard I will be analyzing is Standard 2005.0B.2. It states that the text must be able to describe types of organizational structures and management levels. To determine if this standard was met, I asked the question, how many chapters within Unit 2, Chapter 5 through Chapter 9, address and thoroughly discuss organizational structures and management levels? After collecting the data, I concluded that the only chapters that discussed organizational structures and management levels were Chapter 5 and Chapter 7. Chapter 5 discussed these key concepts once, while Chapter 7 addressed them twice. I collected data with the assumption that bold vocabulary words such as organization chart, top management, mid-management, and supervisors would be present in the chapter with thorough definitions to follow. The data collected clearly shows that the most important information in relation to the standard is featured in Chapters 5 and 7, and after careful evaluation, I determined that the standard was not met. The next standard I used to examine the textbook is Standard 2005.0J.2, which states that the textbook should be able to teach students how to develop a marketing mix plan, i.e., product, price, distribution, and promotion, for a business. To determine if this standard was met, I asked the question, what percentage of the Communicate Business Concept questions at the end of each chapter met the standard Develop a Marketing Mix? I carefully collected data to prove whether or not the standard was met. I used Bloom's revised taxonomy to categorize the questions into higher order thinking, which required students to evaluate and create, medium order thinking, which required students to analyze, apply, and evaluate, and lower order thinking, which required students to simply understand and remember. For example, one question asked students to identify 3 businesses from their community that are not marketing businesses. This question accesses a lower level of thinking because it is just asking students to understand and remember. Although 43% of the questions accessed medium order thinking and 14% accessed higher order thinking, only one question directly addressed the elements of the marketing mix. I collected my data based on the standard's action word develop, which falls under Bloom's create category. Only one question discussed the marketing mix, but it did not prompt students to develop any type of plan for a business. This standard was not met simply because students primarily used lower and medium levels of thinking and rarely reached a higher level. The last standard I used to analyze this textbook based on the KOSA standards was 2005.EK.4, which expressed that the text must convey instructions that students could use to prepare a resume, letter of application, and job application. Within the chapter at question, I found photographed examples of each of the business documents stated in the standard. I then examined the rest of the unit and asked the question, how many chapters within the unit demonstrate the preparation of a resume, letter of application, and job application? I collected data from Chapters 5 through 9 and concluded that instruction to prepare a resume, letter of application, and job application could only be found in Chapter 9. The chapter has an entire section called Applying for Employment that is designed to address the standard and instruct students on how to create these documents. The main purpose of the chapter is to introduce students to the various steps that must be taken to obtain a job which directly correlates with the standard that is being used. If the textbook had failed to cover these topics, students would be unclear on the employment process and it could possibly affect their post-grad life. Although only one chapter within the unit had the components discussed in the standards, I would say that this textbook met the standard. Preparation of a resume, letter of application, and job application are very specific skills, and Chapter 9 does a very good job describing how students should complete these documents, and it gives very clear examples. After careful analysis of the textbook and using various methods to collect data, I determined that only one of the three COSA standards were met. Therefore, this textbook would not be an effective tool that should be used in an introductory business course such as Business Principles.